to say that the Parliament Standing Committee on Public Accounts, or SCOPA for short, was dismayed with the no-show by any of the ministers or members of the Interministerial Committee would be the understatement of the year. The appearance was scheduled for today and was supposed to shed light on defaulting municipalities and how they will handle their Eskom debt. Researcher and lecturer at the Nelson Mandela University, Ongama Mtimka, joins me now to discuss the power struggles at Eskom. Ongama, I thank you for your time as always. Look, Cyril Ramaphosa was the chair of a interministerial team when he was deputy president to Jacob Zuma. That interministerial team was supposed to sort out Eskom. Nearly 2 years into his presidency, he's still struggling with Eskom. Where's the political will here?
Thank you so much, and good evening to you, Karabo, and your viewers. It's a very disappointing situation. You don't expect politicians to be, specialists, energy specialists, or specialists of any kind for that matter. But one thing we expect of them, and we should relentlessly pursue, is the ability to lead, especially institutions which are very vital to the functioning of our economy, institutions like Eskom. It shouldn't really take this much long to see meaningful changes at Eskom, which are beginning to be felt in terms of the efficiency in which that organization is run, as well as the ability to solve some of the basic problems that are confronting Eskom. Indeed, municipal debt is very small compared to the number of bailouts that you give out to Eskom. But that the political machinery from national government to local government and provincial government in between is not being worked such that those payments come to the fore is really disappointing.
Ongama, to you and I, it looks like you are actually correct by saying that the municipal debt is the smaller one of the issues that Eskom has to deal with. Sure, that's 20 billion versus 500 billion rands worth of debt, and I get that. But to have a no-show today with regards to this defaulting municipalities doesn't say to residents of those municipalities, doesn't say to you and I that payment of public services is that important. Instead, we are going to get Finance Minister Tito Mboweni tabling the special appropriations bill in front of Parliament to say, hey, we need 59 billion rands a year for Eskom in order to keep this machinery going. Why is the problem not collecting from municipalities? And two, why do we keep throwing money at the problem? We've been throwing money at Eskom, and it has yielded us nothing but load shedding.
Yeah, that's my challenge. Save for what was launched yesterday, the 200 and some odd million that is now attempting to, which Eskom is attempting to recover, from, I think it was the audit firm. Other than that, we haven't seen the same amount of devotion or even more being dedicated, for example, to recovering monies in the build program of Kusile and Medupi, because there needs to be some accountability there. It can't be that the failure to deliver two working power stations after having spent billions upon billions of rands in the build program, that government or Eskom doesn't take it seriously to recover monies that have been lost there. Instead, we are throwing more money in the problem without hearing, by the way, how those multinational companies, along with their local counterparts, are being held to account about the failures which they have made there, some of which must have been basic risk management, quality control, or proper project management practice. So my problem is not that we continue to give money to Eskom because as long as we want it to remain a state enterprise, we must give the monies that are required. My problem is that there isn't much consequence to bad management failure to foresee things. I mean, if you run Eskom, I don't know why it's going to happen that we only realize at the last minute that we're going to have load shedding and those types of crises or issues with coal supply and those types of things. This is proper management. Any effective management of a company has got various dashboards and matrices which help track problems long before they become apparent, and mitigation measures are implemented. If you are failing at those basics of management, managing risks, be they political or economic or environmental for that matter, whatever nature they are in, then it means we have a gross incompetence problem. And that we have not acted decisively against all of those on the chain of leadership at Eskom. It just baffles one's mind.
Ongama, you touched on something very important, the attempt to at least recover some of the corrupt proceeds, as was said. You know, you mentioned Deloitte there, the audit firm that Eskom wants 207 million rands from. But the truth is, all of those entities are third-party entities. Politically, it looks like there's something missing, which is holding former Eskom executives accountable. Brian Molefe, I stand to be corrected, but as far as I know, he has not paid the money he was supposed to pay to Eskom. And as far as this case is concerned, I mean, the name Anuj Singh comes into the mix. How come we're not holding those people accountable? If you read the statement properly, it said that Anuj Singh and another former Eskom official will pay for the cost of the sitting. That doesn't say anything about their own liability, does it?
Indeed. And I think for me, politicians comfortably hide under the cover of the slow processes in which law enforcement and justice gets brought about in South Africa. Some of these are issues which the board of Eskom, as well as the up to cabinet, by the way, should be empowered enough to be able to do something about. We shouldn't be hinging or having everything hinge on the extent to which the criminal justice system, or sorry, the wheels of the criminal justice system turn. There are things which can be done at a company level, such as, you know, instituting either civil claims, whatever the case may be, or disciplinary procedures, to the extent that you can hold former executive accountable in your own internal processes. But the impression that is created that nobody is empowered to take action is, for me, I think it's just blatant refusal to do what is required from both the current board in Eskom as well as those in the chain of command.
Mr. Mtimka, my final question to you on this issue is, a week ago, South Africa was center stage at a UK investment conference. 2 days later, we were at a different stage, stage 2, load shedding. Do you think that Cyril Ramaphosa recognizes that Eskom could politically weaken him as well if he is not able to turn that story around?
You see, the ability to turn things around at an economic level forms part of what has become the frontiers of contestation for ANC conferences. Yes, indeed, even political parties now apply themselves to this. We call it in our discipline as the regime performance. It's more the substantive indicators of the efficacy of a democratic political system. And as democracies mature, focus gets to be on both the ability to manage an economy as well as the narrow intrinsic indicators of a democracy. And if and in fact, ANC politics itself has matured even to that level, that even if conferences of the ANC are stolen, as it were, through creative management of a delegation of delegates attending ANC conferences, there's an extent to which the economic question forms a very strong part of that narrative. And part of the risk the president is facing, by the way, is still the threat which has sort of been reduced, but not entirely subsided, that there may be agitations for his removal at the NGC. So not these failures to do or to fix state-owned enterprises do not bode well for managing the risk that he can be weakened politically, and therefore agitations may be there for his removal.
And Ongama, I guess in a nutshell, you are saying that we will judge President Ramaphosa's regime by his success on this very same issue. Ongama Mtimka, the researcher and lecturer at the Nelson Mandela University. I thank you for your time, sir. That's all we had for this edition of Political Capital. We are back on your screen next Tuesday at 6:30 Central African Time. Until then, keep it locked to CNBC Africa.